This episode of Rice and Beans is brought to you by 0 to 60 Wraps, now in the cities of Buena Park and Walnut. All right, listeners, welcome back. Hope you guys have been good. You're enjoying your day today. Thank you for listening to us. And we have, I guess I can say another spicy episode today, right? We're going to talk about something that's been on people's minds, Jimmy.
Wow.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think it's a little too spicy for me. I'm a little nervous.
You know who's going to like this episode? People that like to hide in bushes and scream at cars and flip them off.
Oh my God.
This is for you if that fits your description.
All of your mustard lovers.
Although, yeah, no ketchup, only mustard this episode, man. All right?
Ooh.
Put some mustard on the rice and beans.
Perfect. Can we handle this?
I don't know, man. Let's see. I think people already kind of guessed what we're talking about. There's by the way, are we going to like name drop? Or I'm just going to say, right?
Let's do it.
Canyon Carver. There's a personality known as the Canyon Carver. So I guess you can say it went viral, or at least in the car community, you can say his video went viral. It's been like a week or two now.
Millions of views.
Millions of views, which I'm sure he loved, where he is literally hiding in bushes, waiting for, on a Sunday morning, for a particular group of cars to pass by this given road. Do you know what road it was exactly?
Mulholland.
Was it Mulholland?
Yeah.
Because this whole group of cars loves to, as people call it, cross the mustard. They like to double lane. A lot of, high-end cars, fast cars. So he wanted to hide, knowing what time and day, they pass by. He wanted to get it on video, but it wasn't just enough to get it on video. He was literally yelling at them as they drove by, all kinds of obscenities and don't cross the mustard. And I don't know who flipped each other off first, but some of the drivers flipped him off. He flipped them off. And so it blew up online.
It's the sort of scene that is straight out of like a Real Housewives episode of like a housewife barging into a dinner scene and just toss water into another person's face. It's very reality TV worthy.
It was, I think I've said it before in other episodes where people love watching a train wreck, and like that's what it was. Like sometimes I watch videos of like Karens losing it, and just yelling at people. And like I felt like that's what I was watching. But what's kind of conflicting or interesting about it is I understand like where he's coming from, because we've had like episodes. One of our first episodes was Canyon Etiquette, right on Sociology of Cars podcast.
And also the Toge Police phenomenon.
Toge Police, Canyon Etiquette, which touched on crossing the mustard. And
the war on car enthusiasts.
All of that, right? So we touched on this. So it reminded me of that. And I understand his point because, and we'll get into it right now, like, yeah, some of these groups are known to drive a bit recklessly, right? They are double laning. It's a tight section of road, and they're using all of the road. So I understand his point of the dangers within that. But is that really the best way to get your point across? And I think what made the situation worse or more, how can you say,
tricky,
controversial,
right,
was that he came out on the news talking about it, and also saying how he's kind of cooperating with law enforcement to go after some of these drivers. But that doesn't sit well with a lot of people in the car community, because to be honest, not all of us are following the law to a T up there.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I want to play the devil's advocate, right?
All right.
When you're an influencer, everything that you do is controversial. And
True.
Even when you think that you're doing something universally, approved, somebody's going to get offended. They're just unavoidable. Yes. Doesn't matter what you do. And I want to come clean here. When it comes to Evan, the Canyon Carver, I am very, I'm very biased, because Evan helped Sociology of Cars at its infancy a couple years ago when we first started. And Evan was very, gracious to, collaborate with me, appear in the video. and also introduced many people that we know today to the brand. He also invited me to his house, offered me the drink. We had great conversations. So I really appreciate Evan for putting us on the map. And, even to this day, I respect him, and I'm very grateful for what he has done. So that's why, so far, I stray away from talking about anything about him, just because not only is it a show of appreciation, but also, it's a professional courtesy on my mind. We all work in the social media space that I feel like there's no need to bash one another. So my point of view from this for this conversation is I want to be analytical about what's the best for the community. Not really a personal attack, but just more like, hey, what is the best course of action that now Evan has started this thing? And I think that's very helpful for everybody. So,
yes. And I agree with you because the opinions I state have nothing to do with him personally because I don't know him and I'm sure he is a cool person, and I've watched, quite a bit of his content over the years here and there. So whatever I have to say, it's not like attacking him personally, but sometimes, and this applies to all of us, sometimes we go about doing things not in the best way. And so I think that's what we're really going to touch on, because at the end of the day, if you are an influencer or you are online and you do have people watching you, it's how are you using the influence that you do have? It's how is it benefiting the car community, right? Is the content you're making just for views or just so people can look at you? Or are people walking away educated? Are people walking away with a message of like, okay, I should be smarter, or I should be more careful, or a better driver? So I think that's like really what we're going to touch on. You can do the same with me. If any of us ever do something that needs to get called out, like that's okay, right? Like if you're humble, you'll say, you know what, I could have done that better. And when somebody doesn't want to listen, then that kind of tells you how they are too. But again, not an attack on Evan, but just on the incident and just kind of our opinions. And I think that reflect kind of what other people are thinking too.
Right. And just before we dive too deep in, I also like to say that, I agree with everything you just said. I think that there's a lot of attacks going on the internet.
Yeah.
That when people see something that they don't like, they call you names. And that happened to Evan a lot. And I don't think that's fair, because if you don't like what he says, then just don't watch his content. You know what I mean? You don't go to someone's house and just to...
exactly. Yeah.
You don't go to someone's house and then to bash them for being the way they are.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the beautiful nature of our country. This is free speech, right?
Yeah.
So in the last month, I was asked many times, like, oh, what do you think of this whole hiding behind the bush, filming people cutting the mustard? I'm like, my opinion doesn't matter. Yeah. What matters is, what do you think of it?
Right. Because I know what you're talking about. That's kind of how the internet is, right? When somebody doesn't agree with you, for some reason, a lot of people want to start insulting or doing personal attacks. And I did see some comments that had to do with that, whether it was race or other things like that. And I don't think there's any need for that. If you don't agree with how somebody is doing something, just leave it at that. Now, if you're putting yourself out in the public view, then you have to open yourself up for the public's opinion.
Right.
That's the whole thing of being out there, whether you agree with them or not. But I don't agree with personally attacking people. Like if you did something that I don't agree with, let's talk about that. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, or wherever it might be. We're all at the same day. We're all car people, right? We're all enthusiasts.
Right.
So I don't agree with the whole personal attacks, and obviously we're not going to do that here.
So let's go into explaining the situation a little bit more.
Okay.
So the drama between Evan and Court, I believe that's his name, Court Wagner, quote unquote, a pro driver, whereas he would like to call himself in his bio.
This is the lead car and driver of the group that's in the viral video. Right, he drives a Porsche. I don't know, was it GT3 RS?
Yes.
Something like that? Okay. Just so people know what car he is and what. Okay.
Yeah, so Court leads, I don't know anything about this guy, but apparently he leads a car cruise up in the canyons every weekend.
Cruise.
And it's a whole bunch of cars just like the GT3 RS, McLarens, and that nature, right?
Yeah.
And I've heard from many people that they cut the mustard, known as the double yellow.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are not happy with them. And so the drama between Court and many other accounts, such as Evans, that shame double laners, is old news.
Right.
But it just never elevated to this reality TV level of drama.
Right.
So, and I just want to start off saying that when Court said that, oh, he's a race car driver, that makes me chuckle a little bit, even though I know nothing about him.
Yes.
Because anybody can be a race car driver. I can go buy a spec Miata or a BMW M2 race car, cup car, whatever that's called, enter a race, and all of a sudden I'm a pro race car driver.
Yeah.
That does not mean shit. If you're a factory driver, you have to win races. You have the podium. You have to be like, you'll be paid to race. Even people who do this full time, many of them are funding themselves, right? As many of you guys would learn from our Shifted Perspective show,
right.
A lot of these instructors, pro drivers, quote unquote pro drivers, they have to fund their own race. And oftentimes they couldn't find their race. They went into instructing, they went into something else. And I think in Court's bio, he said that he's a Ferrari race car, like a Ferrari challenge. For anybody who don't know what it is, Ferrari challenge, first of all, you have to be able to afford a Ferrari.
Yeah.
You buy a Ferrari, and then the sales guy have to recommend you to that and go through some sort of like it's almost like buying a Rolex, right? You have to be friend with your salesperson.
Yeah.
They refer you, they give the invitation, and you buy more cup cars so they can make more money from you. So it's really like a rich guy's competition sport. It's not a testament.
I heard it's a bunch of dentists racing each other.
Yeah, there you go. So it's really not a testament to how good you are as a driver.
Yeah.
But he kind of used that to show like, oh, I know what I'm doing. But it's like, well, just because you go to the gym doesn't mean that you're ripped.
No, we're not crapping on Ferrari Challenge or whatever it's called. But because I mean, that would be awesome if I can afford a Ferrari and race there. We're just saying that doesn't necessarily make you like a pro driver. Because I can go right now to Chevrolet. They have a customer racing program. I think it's like $750,000 gets you a C8.R actual race car that I can buy it. I can trailer it to Willow Springs and drive it. But guess what? I'm not a race car driver. So that's all we're trying to. Now I don't know his actual like racing history.
Yeah.
So I'm just going off what you're telling me. I've been lazy. I haven't researched him.
Right.
But what I did find funny, I'll just say this. I've met many race car drivers over the years. I've gone to, the Grand Prix in Long Beach for a long time, Laguna back in the days. And there's some actual pro drivers and factory drivers to this day that I follow on social media. Some have retired. I still message them once in a while. I got a bunch of pictures with them and stuff, and I got to know them over the years. Not a single one of them on any one of their social media says that they race on public streets.
Yeah.
So when I see this Kurt Wagner guy's Instagram profile, and it starts off with "from racing Mulholland," it just kind of gave me an insight to kind of how this guy is, you know.
It's a little corny, a little egotistical.
Yeah, it's like I just don't see a pro bright, because pros like you should pride yourself, right, on your work, and being a driver is all about safety.
Right.
So are you like promoting street racing?
Well, and also, who takes a GT3 RS to Mulholland? Like to any Malibu road? That's just the wrong car for the road.
And who calls it racing? You go canyon carving, we enjoy, but nobody's racing.
Right. To me, it's one of those rhetorics that would fool a novice driver, not somebody who's been around for a while.
Right.
You know, you see right through it.
Not someone that can smell the BS, right?
Yeah. So that kind of gets into the meat of it, right? So this Court guy organizes these drives on Sunday mornings, and rumors are that they always do this. So Evan took this into his own hands.
Yeah.
And whatever his intention is, because people debate on that, right? Whether he's actually good for the community or he's doing this for the clout, doesn't matter. But the story is he went up there, he filmed these guys doing this thing. And it's highly debated. And he was, calling them like, bitch, you don't cut the mustard.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the whole thing? Do you think that Evan did the right thing?
No.
Tell me more.
Because that group of individuals, I might not know them personally, but going off their behavior, that group of individuals is not going to be discouraged from that type of driving just because somebody was out there yelling. those type of people will probably do it more just to piss him off more. And a lot of those individuals that are seemingly wealthy and drive higher end cars sometimes drive with a sense of entitlement. And so they definitely don't like being told what to do by anybody, especially someone that they might consider a nobody, just in their life. Like, okay, he might get views on social media, but at the end of the day, he's nobody, right? He's just a guy online. So why are they going to listen to him? So I don't think that that's going to get the message across to that group that was driving there. Now, if you want to take video of a group that's driving in a way that you think is recklessly and then post it and say, look, guys, this is how not to drive in the canyons, that's one way to do it. Being out there like cussing and flipping people off, I think that's just going to encourage that type of driving. Whereas if you just put a video and then just say, look how these guys drive, and then let the public decide and comment, I think that would be more effective in getting your message across.
I think here's the thing, right? Influencers are really good at spreading the words because, think about in a corporate environment, you have strategists, you have, CMOs, CEOs deciding the direction of a campaign. When they already decide what the script is going to be, they call in the influencer, pay them to read off the script, basically. So influencers have the power and they know how to identify trends. They're very good at spreading the words, but they're not politicians or strategists. And I'm using the word politician and strategist very loosely in this sense, meaning that they're not very good at looking at the whole picture and consider how to chart the course.
Right.
So I feel like in this case, it's a typical example of like, hey, you can call someone out. It's going to raise awareness, but there's a lot more nuance to this problem.
Right.
Than just raising awareness.
Yeah. That's how it kind of came off of like look at me, more of like getting the real message across, which should be driver education, right? Because if you're going to be yelling not to cross the mustard, then you're getting into a driving etiquette / education issue.
Right.
I don't even have that much of a problem. I think it's silly. I wouldn't have done what he did. And I think he looked a bit foolish. I think I would look foolish being out there acting that way. So it's not something I would do. But whatever. I laughed. I watched it and laughed, kind of chuckled, which I guess it's still his goal, right? To view. The problem I had is when now you're on the news talking about it. And now it's public, right? It's not just posted where your followers and other car guys are going to watch it. Now you're putting it all out there to the world. So now law enforcement, they have to do something. You get their attention. We already know that whole Mulholland area is hot. The locals, the NPCs always complain to law enforcement. And I think he even mentioned that he's talking to law enforcement.
Right.
So now my problem is you now put a bullseye on every enthusiast on that road because the cops aren't going to be waiting. Oh, let's see if this guy crosses the mustard or not. They're just going to see a high-end car, a sports car, and that's an immediate red flag. And you might be someone just that doesn't double lane, that's just out for a normal drive, and now you're going to be hassled because he brought this heat on everybody. That's the one issue that I got.
Got it. And if I get this correctly, I think the reporter who reported on the story is the same one that reported on the snake's opening.
Oh, was it when he was on the side there talking?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's the same reporter being focused on Malibu, car stories, right? But you're absolutely right. I mean, now this is getting more complicated. And that kind of goes back to someone who has a large following, who's really good at spreading the words, getting this whole trend going. But then now what? Because after you call something out, raising awareness, now we got to actually solve the problem.
Yeah.
I wish that there's a stronger follow-up to that.
Yeah. And, to me, it's a cultural issue nowadays socially because people are so used to putting their dirt, even private issues, out in public, online, right? It could be a relationship or family issues and people want to post about it and my wife this or my husband. And I'm a strong believer in certain things stay indoors, right? They stay private. And some things stay within the car community. Like we should be able to talk to each other, right? If there's a certain group that like is reckless or whatever it may be, like we should be able to address that or say, you know what, like block those guys or stop following them or whatever it may be, you know, or whatever comments you want to say online. But when you start bringing the public into this, now we're all a target. And it also, my mindset is, look, I'm up there having fun. And guess what? I'm not always following, right, all the laws to a T up there, all the traffic laws. So at what point can you start pointing fingers at people? You know, like it's one thing to state our opinions. Hey, I don't double lane. I think it's dangerous, especially on certain roads. That's a very tight technical road. It's hard to see around the other corners, whatever it may be. But that's my opinion. But at what point do I start pointing a finger at you in public when I'm out here having my fun at the same time? You know what I mean?
I do see your point though, because I think that based on what I'm seeing so far, the court guy is even more inclined to cut mustard now.
Oh yeah.
Right. So nothing's really been solved.
Right.
And if your objective is to create a safer environment for everybody using the road, now the road just got more dangerous.
Yeah.
Because this court guy is going to do this more.
And they can point the finger at Evan and say like, well, then drive the speed limit.
Right.
Right. If you want to preach, then drive the speed limit and stay in your lane. But guess what? You're not a canyon carver anymore. You're a canyon cruiser. You can't carve anything. You're going speed limit. Then you're just a commuter. That's a commuter car. You're going speed limit. We don't go speed limit. Like, let's be honest here. So at what point what gives us the authority to point a finger?
You know, Malibu has always had a lot of politics between the residents and the canyon carvers.
Yeah.
Really. When the snake first opened, the residents were not very happy, which I thought was pretty comical because the snake was known for many years as like almost like a racing ground for motorcycles and cars.
Oh, since the 60s.
Right.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden it's almost as if they didn't know the history of it.
Yeah.
And they act so surprised. And there was even a film called it's like 16 Miles of Malibu or something like that. But that film was to raise awareness of the danger of PCH because it hasn't been improved since like the 70s or something. So pedestrians were walking on the side of the road. So many deaths happened there. Yeah. So people were already pretty sensitive about cars being there. Yeah. And I have a lot to say. That's why this episode is so hard to make. There's so many directions we can go into.
Oh, yeah.
But to me, I just feel like, look, we always say that cars is it's a cure for our mental health issues. We get up super early in the morning. We go into these freaking middle of nowhere, Angeles Crest, 33, all of the Malibu roads, right? Decker Canyon, Latgo Canyon, or Deer Creek, like nobody has even heard of them if it weren't for canyon carving. I have never heard of it. Yeah,
I mean, those roads just started off as for locals that lived in the area to get to the freeways, which was 101 on one side and then PCH at the bottom, which are some of the oldest highways in California. And so these were just little roads that connected houses. There was a lot of kind of like ranches and there's still some horses there. Like if you take certain roads and the houses were kind of spread out. Right. So these little tight roads were meant for these really old cars from, what was it, like the 40s? These cars were a lot smaller and slower. So these roads were not meant to like handle today's vehicles and the speeds that they're capable of.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then obviously over the years, you've had more people move to that area, to more affluent area. Everybody wants to be Malibu and Santa Monica and be close to the beach. So now you have a lot more residents, many of them that might not know the history of that area, the car history of that area. So, and many were hoping that the snake would stay closed for permanently if it was up to them after the fires. So yeah, there was a lot of people that were upset because they knew that it was going to bring an influx of cars, whether it's people that actually, carve it and drive it fast or just cruising and tourists, a lot of motorcycles. But to be honest, it does have a history of a lot of accidents.
Those roads, I discovered them organically. When I just had my SUV, I used to tow my SUV a lot.
Okay.
I literally just like, this is a fun little road. Maybe let's just see what's at the end of it.
Yeah.
And little did I know that those were some of the most famous roads, right? But if you didn't know, you would think that these are private roads leading you up to like a gated community, perhaps.
They seem that way. I found them on Yahoo Maps. That's how old I am. I was like, are there any fun roads? And like, yeah, I would get lost, and I'm like, well, eventually I'll come up to PCH, and just kind of find roads and go to Neptune's Net for some food or something like that.
Exactly, because when most people think of Malibu, they're thinking, oh, PCH, the ocean, maybe have a meal at Neptune's Net, Country Mart. That's it. So the people who even know that these roads exist are residents or canyon carvers, like canyon enthusiasts. So to me, I'm just thinking like we've already taken our hobby to the edge of the world, known as Angeles Crest or Santa Monica Mountain roads, so that we don't race on the freeway. Mm-hmm. I don't drive fast in the neighborhood. I don't drive fast on PCH. I take my mental health related hobbies to the isolated areas.
Yeah.
And now the Karens want to shut down that road too. So I don't think that they've done the research before moving in. It's kind of like if you get an apartment right next to, let's say, Newport, Huntington, or Santa Monica, you cannot complain about the noises that tourists make on Main Street, drinking, having events, different car shows. There's a million events happening in these beach towns. And that's just the trade-off. You see the ocean, you see the tourist. And you know what? A lot of the locals, on the weekends, they go somewhere else because they don't want to go to the beach with all the tourists.
But see, you're thinking logically, and you forget how stupid people are.
Oh, yeah, because they would say, oh, let me buy a house in Decker. And then they were like, oh, why are there cars? And it's like, whoa, did you not know that?
Yeah, I mean, we've lost literal racetracks because of this. In Fontana, the Auto Club Raceway, like they had people complaining that it was like Fontana, 20 plus years ago. For those of us that are maybe native to SoCal, like it was nothing out there. It was all industrial. And then they started to build houses. And it was just a racetrack along. There was the train tracks. There was nothing out there. That's why they built it. People complained. And now that's gone. Same thing with Irwindale. Irwindale is now gone. So yeah, it's Laguna Seca now has like the sound limits is because of the locals. Oh, race cars they bought a house next to a world famous legendary racetrack and complain that race cars are too loud. That's also how entitled these wealthy people think. Well, if I just cry about it enough, you have to do something about it.
I'll change the culture that makes the city the city.
Right. Who would go to the area of Laguna?
Exactly.
I've been to Monterey. Guess what? It sucks. There's nothing there. The aquarium's cool. You eat some sourdough. But if it wasn't for Car Week and the aquarium, what are you going to do in Monterey?
Nothing. And the same thing in Huntington Beach. There's an air show in Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
Right. So for a whole weekend, there's like fighter jets, super loud. And there's a lot of people who are upset. They're like, oh, my dogs are going crazy. I'm like, whoa, you know that once a year there's an air show.
I need to come to that, by the way. That's pretty cool. I love jets.
So a lot of people are actually signing petition to get that show canceled. I'm like, what's wrong? It's once a year, buddy. Yeah. Like, calm down.
I know.
But it just obscures. So when that whole snake open, people were complaining and everything. I'm just like, wow, like these people have no clue of the history.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to see more though is besides just calling people out for cutting the mustard, I think that we need to have more conversations about why people cut the mustard. And have what I call the town hall meeting that ancient Greece used to have. That's what I call democracy, right? So for those of you who don't know, back in the 70s or 80s, I believe, Mulholland was Mulholland Raceway. That was a racetrack in the suburbs for rich people. And then later on, it got urbanized. Right. So I know quite a few people who are now professional drivers, but their dads used to race in Mulholland Highway back in the 70s. So that's why they keep driving that road, because that road for them is very sentimental.
Yeah. And there's movies about it too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I suspect that this court guy is one of those older generations who used to race there. Yeah. So that's why he feels, quote unquote, more entitled. And I feel like we need to extend him some benefit of the doubt and be like, maybe that could be the reason why he thinks that it's okay.
Yeah.
But again, nobody ever interviewed him. Nobody ever invited him to a safe conversation, discussion, and be like, why do you do what you do? Share your perspective.
That's true.
I feel like that's the role of influencers. You can't just bash on one side. You have to bring people together through a platform.
Well, yeah, that would be interesting. You
Right.
know, what if someone like Evan just said, I mean, I think they're like enemies now, but yeah, if he said, hey, Kurt, are you willing to sit down and talk about it? Like, why do you guys drive that way? You know, like, and look, I don't like telling people what to do. Yeah, I like having my fun too, but I also believe in our hobby's dangerous as it is. I just believe in trying to minimize as much of that danger as I can, especially to other individuals. Now, if I'm by myself on an open road, nobody around, like that's on me if something happens. But if I'm in a section of road that I know is a little busier with regular commuter cars, or even if I'm in a group and I'm leading a group of cars, I want to be a bit more careful and I want to tone it down. I don't want people copying me. And if I am a pro driver, I know everyone behind me isn't. So I don't want to, make people push their cars beyond their comfortable limit just because they need to keep up with me. So those are the things that I think of when I see these kind of situations. Now, I love those roads because they're very scenic. They are very technical and fun, but I'm not a fan of driving them often because some sections can get pretty busy. Some areas are kind of dirty. So it's not a section of road that I'm like, I'm going to go bomb it. I'm going to go fast. It's more like, you know what? I'm going to cruise at decent pace and head to the beach or something like that. It's not like, it's a completely different thing than like ACH, where it's more kind of out in the middle of nowhere, a road that kind of is not leading to another populated area, and you can have a little more fun. We're talking about tight roads with more houses, more residents, more NPCs, more commuters. So I personally wouldn't pick those type of spots to like be double laning.
Right. Well, so I do want to go back just a little bit about what I said about the giving people a platform.
Okay.
I think the difference between influencers who are self-serving, which I'm not saying it's good or bad, I'm just pointing that out, right?
Yeah.
Versus people who really genuinely want the best for the community, is that as your following grows, do you use that as your personal megaphone? Or do you see that as a platform for everybody to come together and share opinions? Yeah. If you have millions of followers, let's say, I would personally see it as, okay, good, now we can get the information out to more people.
Yeah.
Time to bring, let's say, maybe Court and Evan on board, have a conversation about it. Why do you do what you do? What is the best solution? Because all we want is safety. I feel like even for Court, he doesn't want to die on the canyon road head on with another person. But it's too bad that so many platforms right now see that as, oh, we have a personal megaphone to amplify our opinions just to show you how wrong you are.
Yeah. And, the only other exposure I had to this Kurt Wagner guy was a video of him that he posted before where he was ripping through some Santa Monica roads and just kind of, he was by himself in that video, but just like completely double laning everywhere. And he posted it thinking it's like a cool video.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, but all the comments were like, dude, like, what are you doing?
Right.
And then I don't follow him or anything, so I didn't really hear from him again. And then I saw this whole thing blow up with Evan, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess like that's what the guy does. So I'm just going off what he posts.
So maybe I'm a little bit too nice.
I think he's just a guy that feels, oh, he thinks his skill set allows him to do that. But the thing is, like, your skill set doesn't control your environment.
What skill set? Like, what skill set? Like,
so it's, and that's the thing I've learned over canyon carving so many years. It's like, there's only so much you can control. I can be in control of my car, but these roads like change so often. You can't control other drivers, coming around corner, debris, animals. I mean, just countless things that we've talked about that are outside of your control. And when you're double laning at the limit, you're not giving yourself any margin for error. Like, how do you recover from that? So it just makes it a bit more hazardous than it has to be. Like, it already is. Why are you like making it worse?
Got it. So that's actually on the same note of you saying that you wouldn't personally bomb the Malibu Canyons for that reason. There's people like that.
Yeah.
And the road is very tight. It's just
Yeah.
very busy, right? But at the same time, like Decker, Latin Go, it's not that busy. Maybe Stunt is pretty busy.
Stunt gets busy, and Mulholland, obviously. It depends too, like when you go. On the weekend, you're always going to get some traffic on some of those roads. But then that used to be the thought. But a lot of the locals now are like, these other bigger roads, the Mulholland and the Deckers or whatever it is, like these, they have all the racers on there. So I'm going to take the little road to get home.
Oh, God.
So now you have that situation happening too.
I hate to say this, but I truly believe this. Mulholland is for dorks. Who goes to Mulholland? What? Like,
that's just like to say you've been there. It's just like it's a legendary road that you visit. But again, like if I'm gonna go there, I'm taking it easy, like in my terms. You know what I mean? Like
right.
I've driven it with my kid in the passenger seat, whatever, and it's been fun. But it's not. It doesn't compare to like when I'm really canyon carving. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Mulholland is not on my list of a go-to road for that.
Especially, I feel like on those canyon roads. Okay, those of you who's never been, it's really tight. I do not know a single person. Let's just be honest here. Mm-hmm. I do not know a single person who's never touched the mustard on that road. It's so narrow to the point where I even say, like, Nate, your Corvette is actually wider than the lane itself.
Oh, the Vet feels like a boat on that road. I feel like when I go around a corner, like, which is a Puma that's like really tight.
Oh God, yeah, Bouquet Puma.
Yeah, there's some corners where I feel that the front and rear of the car are like touching both ends of the corner. Like the car just feels so long.
Oh yeah,
because it's just so tight, and that's like second gear, low speed. It's very fun and technical, similar to like GMR. But at least at GMR, I know like this road kind of goes nowhere. Like there's not NPCs trying to get home here.
Yeah.
So like you have a little more fun up there. But yeah, it's really tight. And we discussed this in a previous episode where there's a difference between, hey, this road's so tight that you touch the middle lane at times. You touch the mustard. Like you drive canyon roads, it's gonna happen, guys. Okay.
Just brush it.
Yeah, we're talking about like deliberately using the entire length, both lanes, right, to quote unquote drive the fastest line, like if it were a racetrack.
Yeah.
That's where you get yourself in trouble.
It's not a one lane road.
Right.
Not gonna lie, every time when I get onto those little roads, right, and I see a Honda CRV, and I'm like, what the fuck is this NPC doing here? Like sometimes I'm really shocked to see people there.
Yeah.
Because it really does feel like, how the concept of a private space versus a public space, it's sort of like an art form, because all of these two concepts can get pretty intersected.
Yeah.
So let's say you go to like Yosemite and you're like, oh, I'm all by myself, I can go camping. A lot of people fuck in the wild, right? It's true, right?
Well,
you and your girlfriend, inside of the tents, people do that. And
well, you're obsessed with the nudists, right? At ACH, so
there you go. There's nudists on ACH too. Like people who go camping, they shower in the wild. They probably make love in the wild, or maybe they scream just to like blow off the steam from work and school, right? So you do that, but technically that's not right because you can't be naked in public.
Yeah.
But people do that because they know that, oh, I'm in Yosemite, I'm in the Redwoods and whatever.
Yeah.
It's like the edge
I know
of the
what you
world.
mean though. Even though it's a public space, it feels private to you because you're kind of using it for something private at the time. Yeah.
So like you think that the rangers don't know? The sheriffs don't know? Of course they know.
They're watching you with binoculars, dude.
Yeah.
You're posted on a website somewhere as a amateur. I'm not going to say that.
Oh my God. So, they probably do that themselves,
Yeah.
So the point is, we do private things such as screaming and, just to blow off the steam in public, but we treat it like a personal space because we're thinking, oh, it's so isolated. I'm taking this out at the edge of the world.
Yeah.
And the same thing why we drive on those roads. We're doing this in an isolated area. I'm not carving on the freaking freeway.
Yeah.
Or in my neighborhood. In my neighborhood, I drive 25 miles an hour. So when we, tell me if you share the same sentiment, but when you see like a Honda CRV and just like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Well, that's what they said when they saw you in your Mazda SUV up there.
Oh,
like, what is this guy doing up here? No, but yeah, I mean, you drive, for example, like, my playground it's going to be Angeles Crest and the other side, GMR, and all those roads that I've driven for so long. You do have a sense of like if they belong to you, like, because it becomes like a home. You're there all the time. So, but yeah, you have to keep it in the back of your mind. Like, this is still a public road and everyone has the same right to be there. And that's why when I do encounter, NPCs that don't use turnouts or that have no clue what they're doing up there or just driving like idiots, like we've encountered a few, just in the last couple of weeks, you and I try to be patient. Sometimes it means I'm stuck behind them for a while instead of passing them, in the wrong places. Sometimes it means stopping at a turnout and waiting and getting some space between them, versus doing something a bit more dangerous. So you have to keep that in mind. As much as we feel like, oh, this is my road, it's still not. And like that person's just driving, and yeah, many of them are clueless on how to drive up there, but you have to be ready for that. And so I don't drive as if no one's there. That's why I just, try to limit myself when and where to have fun.
Got it. I think that Malibu people are very ungrateful. And I know this might get me a lot of backfire.
Okay. I think I know your angle, but go ahead.
So the residents, first of all, the people who complain about the racers.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they're actual residents or just people who use the road to get somewhere.
Okay.
Right. So that's the first angle. Country Mart hates all the enthusiasts now. They ticket you for not having a front plate and this and that.
Well, is that the city or Country Mart?
The city.
Okay.
And the old place over at Cornell, which is, people say that's Malibu, but it's really Cornell.
Yeah.
They hate us too. They had a board that says, this is not a car show. Like, if you park here, you have to come and buy something, right? For me, I just feel like, okay, I'm going to be very unhinged. Who the fuck knows about the old place if it weren't for all these quote-unquote car shows? And it just cracks me up, even the NPCs using these terminologies like racers, speeders.
Or motorcycles, because they are or the rock store, big motorcycle hangouts. Yeah.
Right. So like racers, speeders, or like car shows. It's like, it's not a car show. Like, it's a car meet, like they just know so little about it. But I just think that I'm from a small town and I've known people who are from Palmdale. Let's say one of my friends as an example, right? He hates Palmdale for good reasons. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
So he said that when he was a kid, he was always like just
drugs, crack.
Looking out the window, looking at the desert and be like, oh, man, when can I just get the heck out of here?
Yeah.
And when he eventually, quote unquote, got out and started working in Orange County, he was so grateful. He was like, man, there's the beach. There's like the high class people. I mean, he refers to them as the high class, the life that he wouldn't even have dreamed of.
Yeah.
But now he's very content. So I think the same thing with people at the old place or some of these like little like farm. It's like, aren't you grateful that like most businesses would beg for influencers, fancy people, if you would call them, luxurious car people to show up and promote their place.
Yeah.
You got free advertisement without even paying anything every Sunday at the old place. And they see us as problems. So ungrateful.
That's why, to me, like Newcombs is the GOAT of these type of places, because they embraced the community. Never did the owner or the people work there turn away any type of, whether car community or motorcycles. They would actually do events, motorcycle events. They would have, the races on TV. Well, so you can go in there and get a bite to eat. And when I would organize drives, I would tell people, hey, make sure that you patronize the restaurant, make sure that you give them your business. If we're going to be hanging out in their parking lot, whatever it is, go in, even if it's a soda, whatever it is, give them a couple bucks to show your appreciation that they're giving you a place to hang out. And I think Newcombs knew that, and they embraced the community. And you're right. These other places that want to kick people out, oh, it's not a car show, whatever it is. It's like, well, how much business are you going to make if none of these people hang out here every weekend?
Making you look good.
Yeah. Now, I do agree, like, hey, if you're going to be here, buy something.
But nobody wants bacon, though.
Dude, but you know what? There's so many
Who eats bacon?
There's so many cheap people. You'd be surprised, Jimmy. Like some of these individuals driving like these luxury cars, you would think, oh, they have money. They're probably so deep in debt because of the vehicle. Like they're so frugal, and like they'll hang out at a lot and not go just buy a coffee or buy a drink or buy a piece of bacon. Give it to your dog, whatever it is. You know, like they won't even do that. They'll rather just leave and go somewhere else. I'm like, dang, you're that cheap? So I do agree with like, if you're going to be here, at least come in, buy something.
Right.
You know, if you're going to hang out. But yeah, these places are, I bet you that the weekends they make money because of the car community, because of the motorcycle community. So, you know, pick your poison. What do you want? You want them here or not?
Right. And I love it when Southern California residents do this cosplay of country lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like I'm actually from the Midwest. Okay. I grew up around cowboys and hunters.
Country. Yeah, I know.
That was like the old place with the cowboy hats with the boots. I'm like, oh my God. Like it's very obviously that they're fake cowboys.
Oh yeah.
But they're like, oh, we just want peace and quiet. I'm like, peace and quiet, you'll go out of business within a year because you just don't have the foot traffic.
Peace and quiet in Southern California. Yeah.
And also these so-called locals, I mean, they're from like what, like Thousand Oaks. I mean, can I just be honest for a second?
Go ahead.
The valley, okay, is what people joke about.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're from the valley. You know, like if you say that you're from Pasadena or Santa Monica, people are like, oh, that's cool. When you say I'm from Thousand Oaks, like I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Like that's what fucking like loners and losers go to. You know what I mean? Like
valley.
And then now they're complaining that people are coming here. It's like, but if there weren't a car show, trust me, nobody would even want to go there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. To circle around, right? So these influencers, and you made this point earlier, you have to ask yourself, if I'm going to be making these videos, why? If I'm out here making a scene, pointing fingers, hiding in bushes, am I doing it for views or am I actually trying to change the situation? And if you are trying to change the situation, what are you doing about it? Because I don't think that video is going to do anything positive for the community. The only positive that came out of it was his view or follower count on his IG. But how did it help the actual car community?
If I were Evan, I would invite the same reporter to perhaps Good Vibes or to even...
Don't bring him to... Nah, man.
Okay,
Keep him out of my house.
because here's the reason why. It's only when the reporter... Let's say, you know, Nate, you and I met because of the Kenyan culture.
Yeah.
And we became pretty good friends. And we're not doing this for profit, yet we exude so much passion, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing that you can say when you go up to any car meets up on Angeles Crest. I want to move the reporter and educate her on why we do what we do. Because it's only that she understands that she can report on the car community fairly. But now it's almost like, oh, there's a conflict between the residents and the people who go to the snake. Okay, let's report that because that's drama. Oh, there's another one with the Kurt Wagner guy cutting the mustard. But it's like, okay, but what about explaining why people do this? Like, I want her to get an understanding of this. And that, for me, is town hall.
But here's a problem with that. In order to do that, you have to justify breaking the law. Okay.
What law? The speed limit?
Well, yeah, one of them, the biggest one. Because when people talk about the dangers of driving, the number one thing that comes to mind is speed. Okay. Now, I bet you there's a bunch of accidents in the Mulholland area in Santa Monica Mountains that happen at lower speeds, right? Just you don't have to be going that fast on a tight road to make a mistake, to hit a barrier, whatever it is, or to be involved in an accident with another car, especially if you're cutting the mustard It's easy to have an accident even at low speed. But to the public, all they know is like speeders. So if you brought this reporter to Angeles Crest and said, oh, look, this is why we love driving the roads. Like, again, what are you saying? Do you say you just drive the speed limit to enjoy the road? Well, in that case, it should be safe for everybody, but that's not what we do. So are we justifying like, oh, it's okay to speed, but just don't double lane? So that's never going to work for the public. That's never going to work for law enforcement.
But that's why I brought up the whole camper topic, though, because if the reporter likes to go camping, okay, everybody who has gone camping have at least, I mean, you have to shit in the woods, pee in the
They have
woods.
bathrooms now, Jimmy.
Okay, but some of them, if they go to like a really
But that's
remote
not
area,
illegal.
that is illegal.
No, if you're camping out in the woods and there's nowhere, you can make a hole in the ground and take a dump.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Can you fuck in the wild in your tent?
If no one sees you.
Okay, but technically you're in a public space.
But inside of your tent, I believe you can.
No, you can't do that in your car even.
I pull up the law. I want to see it.
Yeah, because okay, you
All right, well, you can't do it in public, like to be seen, and like people get busted if they're inside of their cars, doing stuff like
the
that.
tent in
So
the car is the same thing.
that'd be interesting because also these are federal laws now because this is a national forest.
Right.
So if you're out there camping, what can you do inside of a tent? Because to the law now, it might be a temporary housing. So it might not be the same laws as in you're in a car, which technically has windows that legally shouldn't be tinted, at least the fronts and the windshield, so people can see you.
We have to brush up on the law.
So now we need to find the law about having sex in tents, but
also just taking a shower in the wild.
yeah, I mean, you can do that stuff.
I think that's a gray zone. But you see, there's a lot of stuff. It's like you're technically breaking the law, but like because it's kind of socially accepted, therefore it's okay. But the same thing, I'm just trying to draw the parallel.
Well, but here's the thing. Okay, so even if those things are, let's say, illegal, right? If I'm having sex in my tent, it's done. No one's in danger. Okay, so it doesn't really affect anybody. However, if I'm going 140 at 9 Mile, that's dangerous because now there's a possibility of an accident involving other people or myself, and I can get killed. I'm not gonna die having sex unless I have a pre-existing heart condition or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's always gonna be, to the eyes of the public, a public safety issue. So our hobby is never gonna be accepted by the public unless you admit to going speed limit.
Right.
But then you can't call yourself a carver.
I feel like that's the biggest hindrance to us having a productive conversation with the public.
Yeah, I mean,
It's because of that one law. But here's the thing. We all break laws on a daily basis. I mean, you would jaywalk.
yeah.
That you're breaking a law.
I mean, but I know like how you think, right? Like in sociology, it's like, okay, the guy stole a loaf of bread. It's against the law, but did he do it to feed his family because he doesn't have a job, or he just wanted to steal out of greed? So,
Right. It's relative.
so I understand your view of it. But that's why if I'm going to do something wrong, like speeding on a road, I try to do it somewhere where it's just me.
So
right?
you're not going to invite the reporters.
I would not invite the reporter to my bedroom. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's it. I just know I've been in this long enough to where the public is always going to hate sports cars. There's people out there that if you told them we're all going to be in electric cars that drive themselves, you just sit in it, enter the address, and the car will take you there, and that's the only transportation, people would love it. They would be on board for that. That would be suicidal for us. But to the public, they're like, oh, that's awesome. That'd be great. Less emissions. I don't have to drive. I just sit in this box and it takes me to where I need to go.
I mean, which is ridiculous because the same public that hates sports cars would also take their whole family to watch Fast and Furious. And
because it's fantasy to them, right?
Isn't that interesting? Like car culture, car racing, driving fast on a public road is so ingrained in our culture that every great film has a car chase scene. 007, think about.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious. Every villain movie has like a car chase scene in the middle of the street.
And half of those movies take place in California, or at least started, like Fast and Furious. And the thing about Southern California specifically is if it was built on car culture.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, you go back to the 50s and 60s, like all of the songs on the radio were about the car you were driving or driving to the beach. And it was a whole culture just built on that. But I mean, we can't even compare, man. It's a whole different world now. So a lot of us understand that history. We love that culture. And to us, it's like, hey, what are you complaining about? This is like what this place is known for, man. This is California.
Right.
But because it's such a diverse place, you have all these people not originally from here that don't understand the culture, that are just against it.
Yeah.
That's why we started off talking about Evan in that video, but it's a subject that just can go so many, it's so deep.
I think that's why a lot of people take problems with that, because it's such a big problem with so many facets to it.
Yeah.
You can't just open up the Pandora's box and only address like one facet and leave the rest hanging.
Right.
And it's kind of dangerous to only have the reporter report on that one issue and be like, that is what they, but it's like, there's so much more.
Yeah. But see, that's why I disagreed with him taking it to the news and talking to them and then with law enforcement, because to me, it's a lost cause with the public. So keep it in house, you know, and you're never going to get rid of people that drive like idiots. You're never going to get rid of the uneducated drivers that are going to go up there and get themselves in trouble, or the younger drivers, you know, that we were all young and dumb. You're never going to get rid of those type of people. The Kurt Wagners are always going to exist. There's always going to be a guy who thinks he's a race car driver and a hero that can drive however he wants because he's an awesome God's gift to the car culture community mindset, right? You're never going to get rid of those people. So you're not going to really accomplish anything going on the news other than getting attention on everybody, which is what we don't want. So to me, the best thing is if you are going to post your message within the car community and just know, hey, if you don't agree with this type of driving, these are the people to avoid. This is the crowd to avoid. You know, if it's a Malibu problem or this specific group, now everyone's going to know, man, forget those guys. They drive like this and like that, or that guy, you know, that's the only thing that I think will work to some degree.
Definitely. And you know, about the speed limit, just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cops who are also canyon carvers.
Yeah, they're the cool ones.
Yeah. They love speed. They love, you know, just cars. So everybody thinks that the speed limit is too low. Everybody. But yet, I don't know what it takes for them to actually change it.
You know, a lot of laws, especially in this state, are about control. It's just about having control and that mindset. With today's cars, technology, tires, brakes, I mean, if the speed limit on the freeway was 80, I mean, this has been proven by studies in other states, including Texas, that there was actually less accidents with the higher speed limits. I think in this particular state, and if you get demographics involved and the fact that there's so many immigrants from all around the world in this country, I think it's just like a driver education issue and awareness. A lot of people come from countries that don't have anywhere near the traffic and the vehicles with the speeds that we have here. And all of a sudden they're driving. There's so many factors, man, of why it's a slippery slope when you start getting into those kind of laws. Now, I know a lot of cops, just from being up there so many years, that they used to be cool. They would see a sports car fly by, or, you know, they'd wave to you or whatever, or they'd just be like, hey, man, just be careful. They know what you're up there to do, you know? Hey, man, just be careful, guys. All right, cool, thanks. And you'd go. The problem, though, is lately, and especially with Angeles Crest, on the La Cañada section heading up is like now more people are complaining. But see, before when we would head up, we respected that community. You just cruise up to Angela's Crest and you get up high enough to have your fun. Now everybody with their burble tunes and loud exhaust want to make all this noise in that lower residential section. And those are the people that have been complaining, that are going to the town hall meetings, that are calling CHP and sheriffs to crack down on quote unquote speeders. So we as a car community need to do a better job of knowing when and where to pick our spots.
Right.
Like just wait, dude. Don't be an idiot. No one wants to hear your exhaust. Just get to where you want to be to have fun, and then have fun and then go home.
And don't go crazy in the lower section.
Yeah. I mean, I've been preaching that for a long time.
You know, sometimes see the commenters on Instagram who are like, oh, you know, like the speeders, like blah, blah, blah. And you click on their profile, they're like a young guy, you know, with beard and everything, looks pretty manly. I'm just like, if you're a man, right, you want to be manly in every aspect in your life. You're like, oh, like look at how well endowed I am and this and that. And you play sports. But when it comes to cars, it's like, oh, drive the speed limit. It's like, how embarrassing, how much of a fucking pansy you are. It's like,
you sound like me now, Jimmy. I like that. I always tell people, you got to give up your man card, man. What's going on? Yeah.
These people are so unbearable. Like, I don't know if they even drink whiskey, but it's like right now you see a lot of
White Claws.
Oh God. Right now you see a lot of men in society who don't smoke cigars, who don't drink whiskey, who don't drive cars fast, who don't even appreciate cars. I'm like, and then you're a man?
Well, that's because masculinity has been villainized nowadays.
You can't even be a man anymore. It's dangerous.
Again, that's a whole nother topic. That's a
slippery slope.
Yes.
But let me just say this at the end.
Yeah.
Even though there are things that, you know, maybe we disagree with the execution of this whole video thing, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you know, it doesn't matter what I think, what do you think? Because Evan needs to be Evan.
Yeah.
We need to be who we are.
Yeah.
And that's the magic. You know, our audience can choose who to listen to. And these are just opinions. There's no right or wrong, right? And at the end of the day, I just wanted to say, I respect Evan's video and his point of view way more than the point of view of those who post without a face on their account.
You know what? Yes.
Even though I don't agree with everything that Evan says, and I suspect that he doesn't agree with everything I say either, and which is okay. We respect one another. But what I don't respect is cowardly behavior.
Yeah. I respect people that are the way they are out in the open, because at least I know what to deal with, right? Hey, this guy is this way, and it's up to me whether I want to deal with him or engage with him or not. But if you hide, let's say on social media behind a profile,
making fun of other people,
that's kind of the same as just kind of being two-faced in person, right? Because you why are you hiding? Or if something is in jest or in comedy, then why are you hiding? So if it just makes me not trust certain individuals, right? If Evan is the way he is, I know what I'm dealing with. All right, hey, that's Evan, right? Like either that's someone I can be friends with or not, but at least I know.
Right.
So I do respect the fact that he's just who he is. But in terms of like an influencer, that's why I liked, what we do and partnered up with you, because at least we can push driver education, right? We can say, look, guys, we have coaching available or seminars. We push track days and all of that, right? So instead of yelling at you from a bush, I can say, look, here's some avenues you can take to become a better driver, to improve your skill set. And with that experience, hopefully better judgment that you can take from the racetrack to a public road.
To promote real social impact.
Real impact, right. Instead of just, okay, I got a bunch of views, okay, but no one walked out better, right? That group's they're not going to go, hey, guys, be careful here because Evan's going to be in a bush, so let's make sure we don't double lane. No, they're going to do it more on purpose.
Right.
And nobody watches that video and says, you know what? Evan's right, man. I need to drive more careful. That's not happening. So my approach would be, hey, let's push education, right? If you have an influence, right, use it for good. Hey, let's do a seminar. Let's do a little rally or whatever it might be where we can push how to drive, right? I'm going to organize an event. Guys, this is how we drive up in the canyons. Let's keep it in one lane. Let's, whatever it may be, and just reach who you can that way. You're not going to be able to reach everybody just naturally, but it's better to reach a few than nobody.
Yes. And I always say that there's 3 types of people when it comes to a social problem. The first type of people who do not do anything. They do not do anything. They do not say anything.
Yeah.
Perhaps they just don't know what to do and they're shy, which is fine. The second group is the largest group. And this is where the water is a little bit muddy. It's raising awareness. There are people who are very vocal about calling out what the problem is.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they don't do anything. They don't provide a solution outside of just calling it out. And some of them are so vocal that it creates the feeling, the illusion to the public that they really care.
Yeah.
But maybe they haven't done anything because their life is busy, or that maybe they don't know what to do, but they really want to do something.
Yeah.
And I respect that. That's okay. But there's also another part of it. Is some people, they only call problems out because they know that by calling it out, it might garner them a lot of popularity. That's the sole reason why they want to do it. Yeah. They don't care for actually solving it because that's not the goal.
Yeah.
But how I identify if someone's actually genuine is turning to the third group. The third group are people who not only calling it out, but actually providing a solution.
Yeah.
Right now, you can book coaching now from our website, sociologyofeverything.com. You can also have seminars. We have monthly breakfast events.
Yeah.
It's called Breakfast with Pros. So every month you get to have breakfast with 2 pro drivers, asking them for tips, listen to the podcast about their journey that took them here.
Yeah.
If you genuinely love driving, wouldn't you want to hear the story of pro drivers and what took them there, and also meet with them and see how you want to plan your driving career and how you can improve your skills, right? Yeah. So very few people are in the third camp.
Yeah, very few. I mean, right now you were saying that, and I'm thinking. By the way, the last breakfast with the pros we had, that was fun. Just meeting there with a group of guys, and the two drivers we had there were super cool guys, Graham and Rocco, and had fun talking to them. Rocco was talking to my kid about like karting, getting into karting, and I was talking to Graham about different stunt driving and stuff he does. So that was really cool. I came out of there with a lot of info and just great conversation. But
and you can even book coaching with every pro that comes to our event.
Yeah, and it made me think, like someone like a Kurt Wagner, if he says, "Hey, I've raced in these series, this and that," I'm thinking, do you ever sit down and educate people? If you have a group of guys that say, "You know what, I like going for drives with this guy because he's a pro," what are you teaching them? Are you teaching them to cut the mustard everywhere in the Malibu roads? Or do you ever sit down and say, "Hey, look, man, this is, some of the driving tips or whatever it may be. This is how you can be a better driver. Look out for this," or whatever it may be to help develop those guys? Or are you just like, "Oh, this is my little following. This is my little group of guys that look up to me." And there's quite a few individuals like that in the canyon carving community that it feeds their ego, right? They like acting like pros, or maybe even they are pros, and they like having this following because like, oh, everyone thinks he's fast and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, they're not making anyone better. So what good is your knowledge and your skill set if it does nothing for anyone else?
Yes. And that kind of goes back to what I said in the beginning of this episode, is that is your following just a personal megaphone to get out your personal point of view?
Yeah.
Or do you use your platform to bring people together?
Right.
Very few people are doing that, bringing people together.
Yep.
And on the note of the second camp of people who only call out problems, like I said, right, there's some controversial figures, but I mean, being a internet personality is to be controversial. Otherwise, you get no views.
Yeah.
So I respect Evan on that front, no matter how controversial his topic might be. What I don't respect are people who jab you from the dark. Nameless, faceless accounts who shame other people And that's their main thing. And that's what I don't trust. That's the type of accounts that I tend to block.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of accounts
Cowardly.
like that. Yeah. I mean, it just becomes kind of, you take an issue just for views and not really for anything beneficial. And I know some stuff sometimes it's funny or whatnot, but yeah, at the end of the day, I'm just like, is this making things better or not? You know, because I've seen over the last few years, the car scene's become much more difficult, especially here in California. You know, there's much more heat from law enforcement, the smog laws. Like, it's not a car guy friendly place anymore. And so the last thing that we need is to become each other's enemies.
Right.
You know, like that's the last thing we need. We need to come together and find ways that we can all have our cake and eat it too, you know.
So what should we do at this point, given everything that we've talked about?
Well, you just have to do your best part of being in that third group of you see an issue and try to do something about it that's positive towards the community.
So what should Evan do differently if you were Evan?
Well, instead of hiding in a bush and screaming and flipping people off, I would post a video. I would post that video without the screaming and the yelling. Okay. And you know, hey, this guy drives a certain way. I would tag him and say, hey man, Kurt, do you think this is the best way to drive these roads?
Got it.
And see what he has to say. But I think they had history before that though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's kind of tough when you already have history. But early on, like if you encounter somebody in person first,
right,
talk to them and say, hey man, like, dude, you're driving kind of crazy out here for the road that we're on. Like,
right,
you know, maybe be a little more mindful of the way you're driving up here or whatnot. Have that conversation first with that individual. And if it's somebody who you can tell they have the attitude that they're not going to change, or they're like, you can't tell me nothing, I'm a race car driver, then put them on blast, but you don't have to be like, you know, a Karen out there, you know, hiding in bushes and screaming or being on the news. Post it on your page.
I think that's the part that disturbs you the most, is talking to the news.
Well, yeah, because look at my car, my Corvette. If I'm just cruising on Mulholland, I just have a bullseye on me right now because everyone's just gonna look at the car and be like, he double lanes or he's a racer or whatever they want to label me at, because this guy's there on the news talking about it.
Right.
So like, I don't need that added attention, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's hard enough to drive a modded car here. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you have a stock Lotus, whatever it is, a lease or something, and some like 50 horsepower, not old 911. Like, who cares? Your cars are legal. You can't speed if you wanted to. Some of us, right, that have modded cars or stuff that's faster or whatever, we don't need that kind of heat on our backs.
Got it.
You know?
So that's the social impact that maybe,
that's my opinion.
You know, beyond spreading the word, maybe this is something that he should have considered a little bit more.
Yeah, but I think he's about views. Yeah.
Well, speaking about, you know, the Malibu culture, right? I do want to briefly just say this. I think that the people who run Malibu on a routine basis, they think that they're better than everyone else, man.
They would like to think that, wouldn't they?
They think that they're the real canyon carvers because the turns are so much tighter. That's where the true driver do. How do I make them understand that it's just apple to oranges? On Angeles Crest, sure. Like, I really hate it when people say, oh, Angeles Crest is just a whole bunch of like long sweepers. Well, sure, there are a few, but many of them are pretty tight.
Yeah.
There are tight turns depending on which section, right? And also, you're going a way higher speed. Sure, it might look like just a slight bend, but when you're going a certain speed, even a slight bend can be really tricky.
I'll tell you this. From my experience of meeting people that drive on either one and or both, you can take some of the faster guys from Angeles Crest and they'll do just fine in the Malibu area. You take a lot of those Malibu guys to Angeles Crest, and they can't hang. They're not used to that, feeling that rate of speed. They're just not. But they're used to, you know, these tight little turns and all this stuff and all that. But you get them up there, and there's some technical sections on Angeles Crest, and you got to still know what you're doing. So I'll just put it like that. But yeah, a lot of them think just because it's a very technical and slow section. It's the way I see it is like autocross guys versus track guys.
Right.
And so and then there's a lot of guys that do both, and they're really good at both. But there's some guys that only do autocross, which is more low speed, you know, really tight, going around really tight turns, a little 40 second to 1 minute little course. Where on a big, fast racetrack, like a Laguna or a Big Willow or something, like your balls need to be a little bigger because you're going to hit some much higher speeds. And so it's a different mindset. You got to attack it differently.
Right.
And a lot of those Malibu guys like sticking to, first of all, most of them like sticking to that area because everyone wants them to see their high-end car. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. You know, when I think of Malibu, I think of like a skinny kid with messy hair who drives like a freaking like Golf GTI modified or like your S2000s. They love their S2000s.
And you know why they like Malibu more? Because it's slower, so they feel safer.
Dude, that's such a disturbing thing to say.
But it's true.
It's like you're already racing, and then now you're like, oh, I don't want it if it's too fast.
Well,
like, what are you saying?
You know, they're in the low gear. The RPMs are up, so it gives you the sound, and you know it's fun and it's tight and it's technical. But compare that to like 9 Mile. You know, now you're going a $140 coming into a corner.
Oh yeah.
You know, now you got a downshift. Now you got a little second straight. Now you got, you know, a couple little sweepers. It's a whole different thing. So they don't feel that safe anymore because it's a whole different feeling, even if it's a straight line when you're going those speeds,
right?
Especially on those high-end cars. So I think a lot of them like those tight little sections because it's safer.
But then online they're very stubborn about like them being like the best drivers out there.
Yeah, they're not gonna admit that kind of stuff, man.
So lastly, I just wanted to say this too. The pronunciation matters too. It's not Latigo Canyon. It's Latigo Canyon.
Latigo.
Yeah.
Well, Latigo would be the Spanish correct way to say it.
Really?
Friend.
Are you really?
But if you're from California, you say Latigo.
Oh, I thought it's Latigo. It's kind of like retina. Like Latigo.
I don't know, maybe. Yeah.
You know, let's say the word important. You don't say important. You say important.
Important.
Right. Let go. Right? It's not Latigo.
You know, I always, you know, someone that speaks Spanish, like I just always laugh because and I get caught up in it too because if I said things correctly, nobody would know what the hell I'm talking about.
So it's actually Latigo.
You just have to learn to say, pronounce things the way people know it.
Right. So it's actually Latigo?
Yeah, but I also don't say Santa Monica. It's Santa Monica. You know.
Sounds like a white girl.
Yeah. I just imagine what's his name? Was it Ja Rule going Monica for Fast and Furious?
Oh my God. I love it. So Nate, at the end of our episode, you think that we've squeezed in most of the things that we want to say about this issue?
I think so, man. You know, it's I think we all got a little laugh out of it when we first saw the video and everyone had their opinion about it. But at the end of the day, I just hope that people are just more mindful of how they drive and where. And as a car community that we stick together and try not to just put a bullseye in each other's back. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, we hope to continue this conversation. I feel like there's a lot more to talk about.
Oh, there's a lot more, man. We'll keep unpacking.
Yes. And especially when it comes to really the mustard debate.
Yes.
That's an ongoing thing.
It sure is. That's going to be a good one too. I think we got to revisit that one.
I lost count of how many episodes and how many conversations we've had already about that.
Yeah.
So, but people just love to talk about it.
It's time for a refresher course.
Yeah. I think in general, really just practice your common sense. If you can't see the oncoming traffic, let's not do it.
Yeah. And we'll get more into details about when and where. I'll just leave it at that. You know, when it comes to the double laning situation. So, hey, stay tuned for that one, right? Coming up soon.
Right.
All right, guys. Well, as always, we had fun here talking with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed listening. And as always, we look forward to being back with you again really soon. As always, this is Nate, the Beans.
And this is Jimmy, the Rice.
You guys have a good one. Drive safe.
Drive safe.